They laughed at her. They mocked her. To them, she was nothing but a poor maid who deserved no respect. A girl whose life would never rise above scrubbing floors and carrying trays. But what they didn't know was that destiny had written a different story. Every insult, every tear, and every betrayal was shaping her into something greater. And when her boss's girlfriend finally crossed the line, the very same maid they tried to bury in shame became the light no one could ignore. This is the unforgettable story of Amara, a girl whose tears turned into triumph and whose humility became her greatest weapon. Under the blazing sun of a dusty Lagos afternoon, in a neighborhood where zinc roofs rattled with every wind and cracked walls whispered stories of survival, Amara lived her life in silence. She was no more than 22, slim and fragile looking, with skin darkened by long hours of labor and eyes that carried the weight of silent suffering. She worked as a maid in the mansion of Chief Obinna, a man of wealth whose compound glittered with marble floors, luxury cars, and high fences that shut out the cries of the poor. To Amara, the mansion was both a shelter and a cage. Life had been cruel to her. Orphaned young, she had learned early to swallow pride just to survive. She endured long days of washing clothes until her fingers wrinkled, nights of scrubbing floors until her back ached, and mornings of waking before dawn to prepare food she would never taste. But no pain cut as deep as the humiliation from Chief Obinna's girlfriend, Chiamaka. Chiamaka was beauty mixed with venom. With her expensive wigs, painted lips, and dresses that sparkled like diamonds, she carried herself like a queen in her kingdom. But beneath her glitter was arrogance. She made Amara her target, calling her bush girl, mocking her old slippers, and treating her as though she were less than human. And Chief Obinna, though sometimes uneasy, often stayed silent. Silence that hurt Amara more than words. One evening, when Amara walked in with a tray of food, Chiamaka's jealousy boiled over. "Why are you walking like that? Are you trying to seduce my man with your shameless steps?" she hissed. Before Amara could respond, Chiamaka struck the tray from her hands. Food splattered across the polished floor, the sound echoing through the grand hall. Amara bent down trembling, tears pooling in her eyes, but Chiamaka only smiled. "You will always be nothing." That night, Amara lay on her thin mattress in the servants' quarters, staring at the cracked ceiling. Her body ached, but her heart ached more. For the first time, she whispered to herself, "One day they will see. One day, my tears will not be wasted." Days turned into weeks, and the torment only grew worse. Chiamaka's cruelty became deliberate entertainment. She once forced Amara to kneel for hours in the living room after falsely accusing her of misplacing a necklace. Guests laughed as they passed by, and Chief Obinna pretended not to notice. Another time, she pushed Amara into a puddle outside the compound, her expensive shoes splashing mud onto Amara's faded wrapper. "This is where you belong," she sneered. But Amara's silence was not weakness. Deep within her, resilience was quietly blooming. Then came the nights that would begin to shift everything. Chief Obinna was hosting his annual birthday party. The mansion sparkled with golden lights, music floated through the air, and guests in flowing agbadas and glittering gowns filled the compound. Amara was ordered to serve drinks, balancing trays through the crowd. Her head remained bowed, though whispers and glances followed her. It was then that fate walked in through the gate in the form of Mama Ijoma, an elder from Amara's village. Her eyes widened the moment she saw the maid carrying drinks. "Amara," she called, her voice loud enough to steal conversations. The tray in Amara's hands almost slipped. She turned slowly. "Yes, Mama," she answered softly. The room shifted as all eyes turned toward her. Mama Ijoma's voice carried authority. These girls' parents were once pillars of our community. Her father, a teacher who molded many lives. Her mother, a midwife who brought countless children safely into the world. And yet, look at their daughter, reduced to servitude. Murmurs rippled through the guests. Some nodded, some looked away in shame. Chief Obinna shifted uneasily in his chair. Chiamaka scoffed, rolling her eyes, but the damage was done. For the first time, Amara's story was no longer invisible. She was no longer just a maid in the corner. Later that night, fury consumed Chiamaka. She cornered Amara in the kitchen after most guests had left. "You think one old woman's words will make you important? You're nothing but dirt." She shoved Amara against the counter. But Amara didn't cry. She didn't tremble. Her eyes locked with Chiamaka's, steady and unflinching. "I may be poor," she said, her voice firm, "but I am not worthless. Insults cannot erase my truth. One day, you will see." Those words, simple yet strong, carried weight. What neither of them realized was that Chief Obinna had been standing at the doorway, listening. He saw in Amara what he had never seen before, a strength that came not from arrogance, but from dignity. From that day, something began to change. Chief Obinna, once silent, started to observe Amara more closely. He noticed her honesty when she admitted mistakes, her patience when tasks piled high, and her loyalty when others might have betrayed. When his business suddenly faced a crisis, a easy at a partner planning to defraud him, it was Amara who quietly revealed what she had overheard. Her truth saved him from ruin. For the first time, he called her into his study and said, "Thank you." Two simple words, but for Amara, they were worth more than gold. Chiamaka, however, saw the shift and grew desperate. She tried harder to poison Obinna's mind, but her schemes backfired. The final blow came when she was caught transferring money secretly from his account. Betrayal exposed, she was thrown out of the mansion in disgrace, cursing Amara as she stormed away. But by then, the tides had already turned. Amara was no longer just the maid. Chief Obinna entrusted her with managing the household. Guests who once ignored her now greeted her with respect. In time, affection blossomed. Not the shallow kind that fades, but a bond built on gratitude, respect, and truth. Years later, Amara stood in the same sitting room where she had once been humiliated, now dressed in fine attire, her head held high. Chief Obinna by her side, the community looking up to her as a woman of grace and wisdom. She smiled through tears. Her tears had not been wasted. They had watered the soil of her triumph. And so, the maid once mocked as nothing became the woman remembered as a light to many. Proof that humility is not weakness, and that kindness, even when trampled, always finds a way to rise.